Good morning, YouTube. It's me, Sharice, again. So on Tuesdays, I'm thinking about doing Troublesome Topic Tuesdays, and today's topic is going to be on parents and children's relationship with their parents, especially as we age and we get older. I've noticed that a lot of people don't have a very open relationship with their parents. Fortunately for me, kind of, when I was really young, when I was 12, 13, 14, that age, I got into a lot of trouble with boys and such, to where there are things happen that I couldn't hide from my parents. So that has allowed me to have no secrets with my parents. We're very close, we're very open, and I know that I can tell my parents anything. And it really saddens me that a lot of people don't have that kind of relationship with their parents where they feel comfortable telling their parents anything. When I say I can tell my parents anything, I can tell my mom and dad anything without fear of them disowning me or, you know, anything crazy like that. Like, I have a lot of friends, we'll be in conversation and about random topics. Like, I live in the South, so I live in South Carolina, and I have a particular white male friend, same age as me, 21, who said, I was joking around and said, how about we date? And he was like, my parents would disown me if I dated you because I'm black, like things like that. Things as like silly as that. You would disown your child because they dated someone of a different race? Like, to me, that makes absolutely no sense. And like I said, it really saddens me that people don't feel like they can talk to their parents. I mean, I feel like as children, we should know that our parents are going to love us regardless of what we do. No matter how often we mess up, no matter if we go astray. It's a part of life and growing up. We do things that we're not proud of, and sometimes you have to learn the hard way, but that's when you really need your parents the most, is when you are going through hard times and you are going astray. That's when you need your mom and dad the most. And I feel like I have some friends that, if they had been able to talk to their parents about anything and had that kind of open relationship that I have and that I'm sure other people have with their parents, that they wouldn't have done some of the things that they did to themselves. And what I mean by that is I've had friends that have resorted to, cutting, their wrist and things like that, or cutting their thighs. Um, just depression. You're less likely to get depressed if you have that open relationship with your parents. You can tell them anything because you don't feel so alone. Some things you don't want to go to your friends to. Some things you want to stay within your family, or maybe there's some things you just want to tell your friends, and that's okay. But you should also know that you can go to your parents. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm getting at? And I've had friends that I feel if they were able to talk to their parents about anything and everything, maybe they wouldn't have committed suicide. I don't feel that anyone should live in fear of their parents disowning them or no longer loving them. And as a college student, college is crazy. We do things, you know, college. I'll just leave it at that. And college is really a time for us to break away from our parents and figure out who we really are, what we really value without their influence. And sometimes that involves doing things that go against maybe the way you were raised or what you've been taught, but that doesn't mean your parents aren't going to love you, that they're not going to accept you. More than likely, your parents are going to be understanding. Maybe they'll be upset at first, maybe they'll be angry at first, or there may be tension at first, but just don't forget that your parents love you. And life is short, and you never know when your parents may die. I know it's kind of sad and morbid, but don't take the relationship that you have with your parents for granted, and don't not try and grow that relationship with your parents, especially the older that you get. Like, when you're younger and you live in the house, it's a lot easier because you're there with your parents. You're at home with your parents. Your parents are raising you. You see them every day. But as we get older, it's harder. And I just wish more people could tell their parents anything. Like, I'll give you one story. So, I'm a model, and I was at a fashion show in Columbia, South Carolina. That's our capital, state capital. And I parked my car in um, the State House parking garage. It's like underground, underneath the State House. And I didn't know what time it closed, and I knew the fashion show probably wouldn't be over until late at night, like 11 p.m. But I didn't see any signs, and there were cars there when I got there at like 7. So I was like, well, I guess I can park here. I was going to school about 65 miles away from Columbia, so about an hour's drive away, and this was during finals week. So I get out of the fashion show, I'm about to go to my car, drive back, get some rest before my final the next day at 11:30 a.m. And my car is locked in the State House parking garage. There was no way I could get out. I tried to call the police, like, there's nothing we can do. You have to wait until it opens the next morning at like 6 a.m. or something like that. And, I didn't have anywhere to go. I was stranded in I was stranded in Columbia, basically, and my parents came to the fashion show, but they had already left and made it over halfway home, and I had to call my dad, and he had to come back and get me a hotel, I'm sure you can imagine how upset my dad was. They just drove 40 miles, and they were probably about 25 miles back to Sumter, South Carolina, when I called him saying that, hey, Dad, my car is locked in the parking garage. Can you put me up in a hotel until it opens next day? And the nearest hotel, this is like in inner city Columbia, the nearest hotel was, I don't remember the name of it, but it was very expensive for one night for one person. I think it was about $170 that my dad had to spend for me to stay for one night because I was irresponsible and locked my car in a parking garage trying to go do a fashion show during finals week when I should have just stayed at school. You know what I'm saying? Now, I've done stupid stuff like that all the time, and I know that I can call my parents, that I don't have to, ask my friends for money to stay in the hotel or try and find another model to stay with, that I don't really know well, that I can just ask my dad. And there's been other things that I've done, like, the Bible says you should obey your mother and father. We all know that. So this little lip ring right here, my parents didn't want me to get any piercings. They were kind of okay with a nose ring because, as you can see, it's pretty small, It's not that big. It's not really on your face. So when I told my mom and dad that, well, I didn't really tell my mom. I told my mom and dad I wanted to get my lip pierced, when I was growing up, like 15, 16, 17. I was like, oh, yeah, I'd love to get a Monroe. But I didn't tell them the day I actually went to go get it done. So I just kind of disappeared for like an hour with my sister. My sister went with me. And then I just came home with this in my face. You can imagine my parents weren't too happy. My parents are pretty conservative. Not ultra conservative, but they are pretty conservative. My whole family is Christians. I mean, you can see it says family on the wall. It's backwards, but that says family right there. And there's a whole bunch of family stuff. There's portraits of us over here. It's my mom and dad in the middle, and that's me way back when I was 11 years old. My family is very family oriented and very scripturally based. That's the way we live our lives. And so when I just came back with a lip ring, they weren't too happy about it. But I knew that this is something that I wanted to do. And even though my parents didn't like it, I did it anyway. But I didn't do it in fear that they would like disown me or go crazy about it. They were just like, oh, well, we don't really like that you got it. But I mean, since it's there and you paid for it with your own money, I guess we have to live with it. And that was pretty much the end of that discussion, They weren't going to go crazy or kick me out or anything crazy like that. So basically, I want to know what you think when it comes to either your personal relationship with your parents or how you think children's relationship with their parents should be. Do you think it should be completely open like mine is? Like, I can tell my parents anything. When I say anything, I mean anything. Like, things you probably wouldn't even tell your best friend. Like, I can tell my mom and my dad. So just leave your comments below and let me know what you think about parenting children as they get older, into your 20s, college age, high school, when you're getting that independence and you're experimenting, you're living your life, figuring out who you are. Do you think it's okay for parents to disown their children? I do think there are times where it is appropriate for parents to kick their children out. There are times where that needs to be done. You need to learn the hard way, you know. Especially if you're living under your parents' roof, I think you do need to abide by their rules. But I do right now because it's the summer, but they're not here. But anyway, I don't live with my parents typically when I'm at school, so I get to do what I want. But anyway, yeah, leave your comments below about what you think about like kicking children out, disowning your children, and that just communication. Do you think it should be super open, or do you think that you should keep certain things from your parents? I mean, there's certain things you shouldn't tell them about, especially like if you're married, you know, things with your husband and stuff. But when it comes to your troublesome times and your difficulties, and when you're struggling and you feel alone and you feel depressed and you just feel like you've made a mistake or you're broken about something, your heart is breaking, you should be able to go to your parents, I feel. So, yeah, that's basically the troublesome topic for this Tuesday. Join me again Thursday for a Bible lesson. I'm going to cover a little bit of Colossians and some of the things that speak to me in that book. Thank you guys and have a great Tuesday. Bye.